Hello, and welcome to VoIPcom Public Domain Treasure Piece Theater. In this issue 20220606, I, Jacob James E. Horton, sole practicing executive officer by divine vocational calling by the Lord Jesus Christ, of the Institute of VoIP, Bible-based original intent platform administration, and as director of its Department of Media Communications, hereby present a 1987 documentary reporting on the drug culture war against the American populace, of the counterculture of the occult conspiracy during the 80s becoming a crisis, entitled America Hurts, the Drug Epidemic.
It has come to this, the threat of death at the beginning of life. A disease once confined to adults has spread to ages younger and younger, until today it attacks the youngest of all, only a few minutes old, a child just born. He was born addicted to cocaine. He cries. His hands tremble. His future, like ours, unknown. No one knows how much damage the drug has done. How much talent, creativity, productivity have been forever lost because of a mind-altering drug. In a way, he's a symbol of our nation, our future. When this child is hurt, America hurts as well. According to national opinion polls, in the minds of most Americans today, there is no greater crisis facing us than the epidemic of drug abuse. It seems that fear is justified. In size, the epidemic is unprecedented in our history. It is more pervasive in this nation than any other country on earth. It now threatens the health of 2 generations of Americans. It is, by any measure, healthcare, productivity, crime, violence, costing us tens of billions of dollars each year. It is a kind of war, a global war and a civil war. And though we've won some battles recently, in the last few years, for example, drug use has declined among our young by a few percentage points. One overpowering fact remains. In the 1980s, more Americans are using more drugs than ever before. The epidemic, of course, is well documented. What has not been explained very well is just how much damage is being done, and that damage comes in ways that most of us haven't even thought about before. To the individual, of course, the pain is enormous, especially for the young, who are the most vulnerable to the depression and loneliness that, in the end, always accompany the use of drugs. And that pain is contagious. There aren't many things more destructive to a family than someone on drugs.
Hate and rage just start to boil within the family.
And those collection of families called communities, neighborhoods, especially those poor and vulnerable, are being torn apart by drug money and drug abuse. Finally, there's violence and corruption around the world, especially in those nations south of our border. A campaign of terror and crime paid for by those millions of casual users in America who think they're hurting no one, not even themselves. And if this weren't enough, today there are new drugs. First, a kind of instant cocaine called crack, and then designer drugs, a cheap, often deadly mix of chemicals made in a basement by a high school or a college chemist. And finally, new information about an old drug, pot, marijuana, the most commonly used illicit drug in America, and clearly the most misunderstood. This is what most of us imagine: death, near death, a drug overdose on the streets of a big city. A young woman in danger of losing her life as her 9-year-old daughter looks on.
Elizabeth, stay awake. If you're okay, you'll be awake.
The ambulance crew administers dextrose to raise her blood sugar level, gives her oxygen, checks her heart, her breathing, all vital signs. She will spend the night in a South Bronx hospital. The 9-year-old will have to wait till morning to learn that her mother will live. It's the image of drugs most of us have. Night, the poor section of a city, someone young with dark hair and dark eyes, barely conscious, barely alive. But there is another image just as common. This time, there is no ambulance, no faraway look in her eyes. You don't see the damage. You have to listen for it.
I'm angry, I'm hurt, and I'm scared, and I'm lonely. I need help. And honestly, I swear if this disease was a person, I swear I'd kill it. I'd like to rip it apart, you know?
The disease is addiction, and instead it has ripped her life apart. Jamie is 17 years old from West Palm Beach, Florida. She had her first drink when she was 8. When she was 10, she smoked pot. When she was 12, she used them all. Cocaine, speed, Valium, PCP, LSD, whatever she could find. She liked to party. That was her word. And for 8 years, it was quite a party. 5 times she was committed to a psychiatric hospital. She was arrested twice. She wrecked 2 cars. She was beaten up and raped, had an abortion, cut herself with a knife, burned herself with cigarettes.
And I drank a bottle of sea breeze. Yeah,
sea breeze?
Put it on your face.
A cleanser?
Yeah. I drank a bottle of that, and I just wanted to die. And
You wanted to die?
Mm-hmm. Because I felt like everything sucked, and I was going to be in this hospital forever, and nothing was changing. And I really just wanted to die for a little while, you know, until things got better.
Jamie has been in treatment at the Ridgeview Institute in Atlanta for 10 months. That's the longest she's gone without a drink or a drug since she was 10 years old. It seems maybe this time, finally, she has turned her life around. But how? Or why? What happened? What finally convinced her to accept help and give up drugs? She says it's because her life finally hit rock bottom. And I asked her what she meant.
I've just had an abortion. Not even knowing I had BD.
The date was January 1986. Jamie had just turned 16 years old.
Not caring except for getting high. Yeah. Going into that clinic and having an abortion and getting off on the dope.
Do you ask that?
Yeah. That's all I wanted was more dope. I was going to get pregnant again and have more dope. More of that stuff. I wanted more. It was good. I wanted it. I liked it. It made me feel good. I came out of the abortion clinic smiling. You know? That's a bottom.
She could be Jamie's twin. Hillary is also 17 years old in a recovery program, this one in New York. Off drugs for almost a year. She started on pot when she was 11 years old. She was an addict by the age of 13. And like Jamie, like almost every drug user I've met, drug use started out as fun and inevitably led to either suicide or a suicide attempt.
I was stealing, selling things, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And there was
I got really hopeless, and I felt like I don't want this anymore. And I hated myself, and nothing I ever did made me feel any better. No matter how high I got and whatever I got, it didn't help. So finally I decided I just don't care. You know, I want to die. And I even tried to kill myself when I was 11. And in the hospitals I had tried.
What did you do when you were 11?
When I was 11, I took a lot of Valium. Tried to overdose on that.
The leading cause of death among 15 to 24-year-olds is car accidents. Many of those are drug and alcohol related. Second, homicide. Again, drinking and drugs are often involved. And third on the list is suicide. 5,000 will die this year. An estimated 600,000 will try.
The number one associated cause, underlying cause for suicide for young people below 30, including teenagers, is alcohol and drugs.
But it's not always that they wish to die. Sometimes kids on drugs just don't want to live. It's another kind of suicide that 15-year-old Alan Rockwell knows about. The kind where luck decides if and when and how you'll die. Drink too much and drive too fast. One night you won't make it home. Swallow a whole bottle of pills. Maybe your mom will get you to the hospital in time. Maybe she won't.
I wasn't the type to take a gun to my head or slit my wrist. I just got a real careless attitude. I would do crazy things. I would get totally drunk and drive a car 80 miles per hour on a sharp curve. I was doing a lot of codeine at one time in my life there, and I was riding a skateboard, and I ran into a car, and I busted up my arm and my side and my ribs and everything.
Why did you do that? You didn't see the car or did it on purpose?
I didn't care. You know, it was just at a point in my life where it wasn't a blunt in trying to commit suicide, but it was like I didn't care if I died or lived. You know? It was wanting to die but scared to die, you know? And so I just didn't care. I did crazy things.
So you saw the car coming?
Yeah.
You didn't get out of the way?
No, I didn't care.
He's used almost every drug imaginable before he quit a year ago at the age of 14. Over the years, he's stolen from his friends and parents. He's robbed convenience stores, liquor stores. He fought with his parents, punched his dad, threw books at a teacher. He was in and out of schools, hospitals, drug treatment programs, in and out of jail. Alan almost destroyed himself. And if you listen to the different stories his mom and dad tell, it's clear he almost destroyed them as well.
You start to hate one another. You stop sharing feelings. You stop caring. Hate. Just start hate and rage. Just start to boil within the family.
Doris and I were fighting each other tooth and nail. You too? Hell yeah.
It almost caused, I would say, a divorce in our family because every night was a battleground.
This is the other side of drug abuse, the damage done to others. It's hard to condense all that's happened to the Rockwell family in the last 5 years. The fights, the 1,000 sleepless nights, the endless meetings, trips to schools, hospitals, calls to the police. But maybe all we need to know is this. In September of 1985, they went to court and turned over custody of their child to the state. Alan was 14 years old.
It was probably about the most heartbreaking thing that I've done.